The Pro Breeze 5-in-1 air purifier. Why is it called 5-in-1? Because there are 4 stages of filtration on the filter itself, which are Stage 1, a pre-filter, which captures large airborne particles, including dust and pet hair. Stage 2 is the biggie. It's the HEPA filter to remove any smaller particles that pass through the pre-filter, giving you 99.97% clearance of particles 0.3 microns or larger. That is a standard, and you can be sure then if it's a genuine HEPA filter, that's what it's filtering. Stage 3. Now stage 3 is a biggie because activated carbon filter. Not all filters filter volatile organic compounds. It's a big deal now with your furnishings, your furniture, the paints on your wall give off certain chemicals called volatile organic compounds. They vaporize at room pressure, and it's quite common in a house with foam mattresses, etc. You're going to have quite a lot of volatile organic compounds building up. You need an activated carbon filter to remove them. Now, a lot of the cheaper filters use a mesh with, a tiny bit of carbon sprayed on it, which are pretty much useless for filtering volatile organic compounds. It needs to be carbon granules. That's exactly what you get in the Pro Breeze filter. That's good. Although, the level of it is unknown. More expensive ones come with a lot more activated carbon granules. It's going to be a lot more effective, but at least it's in there. A lot of HEPA filters and the cheaper ones don't have any at all, or just have the mesh, which isn't great. Stage 4 is the cold catalyst filter, and this removes formaldehyde, which is again really common from your furniture, and it can be an irritant. It's not something you want in your air. So it's, on paper, is a decent filter. I know it's got granules because, by the way, when you take your front off, you'll see this is basically for decoration only. That's for decoration. It has no use, and you can actually operate it without this on at all. So then you'd be sucking air directly from in front, whereas with the grill on, it's sucking it from the sides. So you may well choose to leave it off. However, my point of taking it off is to show you the filter, which is a decent sized filter, but it's not overly heavy when you compare it to the more expensive ones. But that noise is what you want to hear. It means it's got granules in, which is the way to remove volatile organic compounds. You can have a quick look at the fan now, which is a decent sized fan. I do think, although I'm going to get on to my issues with it, it's decent value for money. Now, it's called 5-in-1 because there's 5 stages of filtration. The other stage is it's got an ionizer. Now, ionizer works by creating negative ions. Particles group up and they become heavy and they drop to the floor. So it doesn't actually get rid of them, they just become heavy and fall to the ground. The thing about ionizers is they create ozone. It's all about how much ozone does it create. Now, they should all have a grading. They should all have a spec for how much ozone they produce. There's nothing in the specifications of this to tell me how much ozone. I did ask them, and they said it was less than, they said the residual ozone is less than 0.003 milligrams per cubic meter, which is very, very low. It's almost 100th of what the recommended low level is. However, I did ask them, is that with the ionizer on? Because it sounds incredibly low. And they said, yes, it is. I have to take that on trust? I don't know. However, so they're quoting a figure which is quite safe, albeit it's a residual figure, which means it's after 30 minutes. Why after 30 minutes? Well, that's the half-life of ozone, which is O3. It's 30 minutes. It means every 30 minutes, you've got half of what you had 30 minutes ago. So yes, it does decay very quickly. However, ozone is a lung irritant. It's not very healthy to breathe in. Personally, I don't use the ionizer on these air purifiers. And that's my first issue with this air purifier. I'm going to plug it in so I can show you what I mean. I don't want to use my ionizer, but you'll notice as soon as I turn it on, the ionizer is on by default. I don't want my ionizer on default, so I've always got to remember, and as you'll see, it's actually touch sensitive. I've got to remember to turn my ionizer off. You also can hear it's on level 2 of 3 power levels. It comes on at level 2. It doesn't remember the last setting, so it will always come on a level 2 after you've turned it off. I'm going to turn it off for a second now. Just say, so my first issue is it's on by default. It's called the 5th stage of filtration, but I personally wouldn't use it. However, I do think it's a decent filter. This is a £99 unit. So I do think it's, I just turn it on, and that's because it's touch sensitive. All right. So I do think it's decent value for money, but I have issues which I'm going on to. Before I get on to those, I'll give you the rest of the overview. So you've got an on-off button, all touch sensitive. You've got 3 speeds, your ionizer, you've got a timer, so it can be 1, 2 or 4 hours, and you've got a sleep button. What does the sleep button do? It doesn't put the whole unit to sleep, it just puts the display to sleep. So if you've got it in the bedroom and you don't want the lights on, you hit the sleep button, carries on working, but the LED display goes off. So that's the overview. Just to say, there is this little thing on the side which does nothing at all. It looks like it may have been meant in another life for having some sort of sensor put in there to allow it to run on auto and sense when pollution is bad, but it doesn't do that. There's no auto sensing, so it's only going to be on the level that you left it on. All sounds very good. Talking about the specs, there is only one really useful spec that you can use to compare between air purifiers, the CADR, Clean Air Delivery, because it's an industry standard measurement. The actual CDR is a figure in cubic feet per minute, but you often see it converted to cubic meters per hour. What that does is it makes it look like a bigger figure. So here we have the ProBreeze. It's advertised CADR 218 meters cubed per hour. That's fine. However, interchangeably and in the headlines, it may leave off the cubic meters per hour. So it would be 218 cubic meters per hour. But without that bit at the end, 218 is wrong. So if you don't see it with the meters cubed per hour, it should be in cubic feet per minute. Cubic feet, so 218 meters cubed per hour translates to 128 cubic feet per minute. So the actual CDR of this, in industry standard terms, is 128, which makes a big difference when you're comparing. So if you go to something like, and I'm going to say Blue Air, because I have a Blue Air, which is one of the better makes, better recognized makes, where everything is presented in industry standard format, they will quote the CDR either in its native form, cubic feet per minute, or cubic meters per hour, labelled that way. So you know exactly what you're talking about. So they go on to say this is rated for rooms up to 430 square feet. Now, that's not right. If you take the figure, and I'm going to say on the back here is a label. So I know that figure really is 218 cubic meters per hour. My first issue is on the box, there is no certification. There's nothing to confirm that that's been independently tested. The industry standard testing is by the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. And when they certify it, you get a label on the box. Here is my Blue Air box. Certification label. I know exactly what it's rated for, even though this is more powerful than that. It's only rated for rooms up to 280 square feet because they're using industry standard measurements. So by that token, this can't be 430 square feet. There's also no label. So I did ask them, ProBreeze, what certification they had. They said it's been independently tested, but they can't provide any information other than that. So you've got to take that on trust. I do trust that. However, it does mean that the CADR on this is 128. The industry standard way of working out what size room that would be 128 times 1.5, which means this is actually rated for rooms up to 192 square feet. Fine, I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not saying it's anything terrible, but it's misleading. So I do think it's a decent air purifier. I do think it offers value for money, but it's for rooms up to 192 square feet. Still a decent sized room. However, let's keep it fair when you're comparing between air purifiers, what it's rated to do. Now, how is it in operation? Well, how noisy is it? Let's put it on. So here's my voice. I'll get up close so the mic will get it. So turning it on. Level 2. Now, that's not too loud, that's not too bad. That's the highest level, you can certainly hear it. But again, nothing terrible. I will say, in use, it does have a slight whine to it. So it's not the highest quality fan. This whine means, you know, the quality of the fan will tell you the quality of the sound. It sounds a bit funny because you can have a louder fan, but it would be more of a pure wind noise, which is not annoying in any way. But when it's a bit more of a turbine noise on cheaper fans, that's slightly more annoying. It does have a slightly annoying tone. And on its lowest level. Thing to remember when you're switching, if you're buying it for a certain size room and then you start switching around the fan speeds, well, of course that adjusts what size room it's good for. Now, I did some measurements. This is rated at 45 watts. I will say, when I plugged it into my power measurement plug, I was pulling 52.4 watts. So that's a bit more than they're rating at. Not a huge deal, but 45, 52. So it actually pulled 52 watts on its highest level where it's rated for, where its rating is 128 CDR, 192. But if you drop those power levels, so on level 2 it's pulling 41 watts. On level 1 it's dropping to only to 37 watts. Not a huge lot of difference in it. So 37.5 watts, 41.5, 52.5 watts. Now, if you make the general assumption, and I'm going to, obviously this is not going to be accurate at all, but it's going to be a general indication. If I take the power level and use that as a factor to reduce the CADR by, so to work out how much, what's the effective CDR, it drops to 101 on speed 2 and 91 on the lowest setting. So that means it will, on level 1, it will still do the standard recognized clearing of the room for a room size 136 square feet, and on level 2 151 square feet. Not terrible. In terms of noise, it's rated at equal to or less than 60 decibels, and I in fact measured it at 59 decibels, bang on for level 3, 52 decibels power level 2, and 41 decibels for power level 1. Just to give you an indication of, you know, is that any good? I've also got a PureMate 520. It's another £99 air purifier. The difference is the carbon filter on that is the mesh type, so pretty much uses for volatile organic compounds. On its highest level, that has 5 power levels, it's 126 CDR, so almost exactly the same rating. So both £99 air purifiers, both approximately 128 CDR. That's only pulling, on its highest level, 45 watts with a noise of 56 decibels. So if noise is an issue, you know, you can do better. But this has definitely got a better filter. How does that compare to, well, I've got my Blue Air 280i, which is rated for rooms only 280 square feet, and that was rated for 430 square feet according to Breeze. That also has 3 power levels. Now that pulls 73 watts on top level, but that has a CDR on top level of 180. So almost 50% more room space cleared. That would pull 73 watts, but 56 decibels. So a lot more powerful, but a lot more efficient, so it's a lot less noise. So one of the issues with air purifiers is the noise. People buy an air purifier based on the room size, which of course relates to the top level, think it's too loud, turn it down. And that means it's now not clearing the room you bought it for. So there is a trade-off. So it goes beyond the headlines. You've got to know what noise level you can tolerate for the room size that you want to clear. You know, and that's what you pay for in these more powerful machines. The higher spec machines, which are more efficient, bigger fans, more efficient fans, going to be a lot quieter and clearing a much larger room, or the same room size with more air clearances. Industry standard is 4 air clearances in an hour. I think I basically covered what I wanted to say. Decent filter. The specs are a little bit misleading. Still decent for the money. Just be aware of what room size this is going to clear. Be aware of what noise level you can tolerate. So I am going to do another review another time for my Blue Air, which I really like, but it's a lot more expensive. You know, it's about how much can you afford, the noise level, room size. Be aware of the specs. If it doesn't say cubic meters per hour, then technically it should be rated at cubic feet per minute, which the actual number would be lower. And that's my issue with the Pro Breeze. They interchangeably use 218, sometimes with the cubic meter per hour quoted and sometimes without. That's when it's misleading, because without that at the end it should be quoted as 128. So I hope you got something out of that. If you've got any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. Or indeed, if you've got anything to ask about my Blue Air 280i, which is great. And I'm going to get to another day. Thank you for watching.
UK